What is up, lads? It's Chris Modernine here. This is your match review for Salzburg against Chelsea. 5-3 winners over in Austria. Good game. I really enjoyed watching it. Some absolute stunning goals got scored today. I've got to be honest, really good goals. But on the flip side, some quite questionable defending that we'll talk about a little bit later on in the video. So then, let's talk about the goals. First goal came from Christian Pulisic. Great goal. Controlled the ball, put his body away from the defence, controlled the ball, and then just powered it in low and hard into the far corner. So that was a great goal. Ross Barkley made it 2-0 with the penalty. Then Ross Barkley, with what I think is to be one of the absolute best passes he's ever made, all the way over to Christian Pulisic, ran up to the goalkeeper, placed it past him into the net to make it 3-0. So that was 3-0 at half time. Then Salzburg pulled a goal back from a set piece, another set piece. Poor defending. Then Pedro. Oh my god. That goal from Pedro. Absolute class. I don't know how he managed to do it. But it was Barkley put the ball in to the penalty box. And then Pedro just... Was it like a scorpion kick? Right over the goalkeeper and into the bloody net. It was an absolute... That was the goal of the day. Goal of the day for me. Yeah, that was 4-1. And then Salzburg got a goal back from a penalty. Then later on, Batshuayi in the 88th minute shot the ball at the goalkeeper, but then he sort of recovered, received the ball somehow, and then just managed to score right into the roof of the net to make it 5-2. And then a real defensive mix-up right at the end of the game got Salzburg their third goal, and it was, 5-3. I'd say, like I said before, some of the goals in that game were absolutely world-class. Just pure speciality. Now then, let's talk about players who performed in that game. I'm not going to be able to mention everybody, but I'm going to do my absolute best. So, let's just talk about the absolute prime player in that team, Ross Barkley. I've been saying, like in the last few videos, I've been saying how good Ross Barkley has been. You know, Lampard has completely transformed Barkley into some kind of midfield maestro, and us Chelsea fans are absolutely bloody loving it. Some of the passes he was making, oh my days, it's like he'd been at Chelsea for years and years. It was almost like having Lampard back. Do you know what I mean? It was an Ross Barkley today was, you know when I say ratings 10 out of 10, he was 1,000 out of 10. 1,000 out of 10. You just need that guy in the middle to create stuff, to be able to work off players, as I said in the last video. And that's exactly what he did today. Just pure class, brilliant passing, brilliant awareness, just brilliant. He has got to start against United. I said it in the last video, he's got to start against United. And especially when there was a time where players really have to step up their game, they really got to step up their fitness, because we're very close to the new season now, and we've got to really prepare ourselves for the next couple of games. You know, Man United, Liverpool, Leicester City at home. These games, we've got to hit the ground running. And yeah, that's exactly what we did today, especially with Barkley. Kovacic was excellent. I just loved his ball work, and I love his physicality in the middle, just trying to win the ball back, when he had the ball and he had somebody trying to tackle the ball off him, he had the strength to get rid of him and just push the ball forward and get the ball to the wingers and get the ball to, especially the Pulisic later on for scoring his second goal. And speaking of Pulisic was another player that I really rated today. 2 goals for Pulisic today. He has given me a breath of fresh air. He is making me not miss Hazard too much. Now, a lot of people have been saying, you know, when we lose Hazard during the summertime, it's going to be very difficult. You know, yada yada yada. We're not going to have that pace down the left. We're not going to be able to have that guy who drives forward, who links up play, does these flicks. I tell you what, Pulisic is steadying the ship with that performance today. I know it's just one performance, and I know it's not even the start of the new season yet, but pre-season is all about getting the managers to understand what players are doing well, and I think Pulisic is right up there with, you know, some of the better players that are performing today. Just Pulisic, absolutely excellent. Pedro, another player that I thought really did well. His goal, his fourth, I think it was when he made it 4-1 to Chelsea. Oh my god. That scorpion kick. And Barkley just making that absolute perfect ball into the penalty box. It was just a work of art. That's not just football. That is That is art. That is art. It's very, very difficult to score a goal like that. And when you pull it off, it is something quite remarkable. And you know, the world gets to see that. And, well, how old is Pedro? Like 30, 31, 32, and he can still do that. My word. He's doing something right then if he's able to do that when he's that old. My word. All right, let's talk about some other players that did well today. Jorginho, I thought he did okay with the ball distribution. That wasn't his best game, but I thought his passing was okay. It wasn't as good as Kovacic or Pulisic or BARKLEY on the pitch, but Jorginho, I thought his ball distribution and ball passing was good, but he could have been better today. I'm not saying he was perfect, but you know, he was making the odd mistake here and there, Jorginho. So you know, some positives outweigh the negatives in this game, and we're going to talk about the negatives a little bit later on. In fact, let's talk about the negatives right now because there's a lot to talk about. I'm going to start with the defending because defending was poor in the second half. Now, I talked about the defensive problems that we needed to rectify going away from the Reading game when we conceded 3 goals over there. I mean, zonal marking, a lot of space prevention, committing to a tackle when you know you want to try and get the ball back. We were off. We were making the exact same mistakes as we did against Reading. Look, I know this is something that is really important and, you know, we are definitely working on it. But if we've only got 1 game to try and rectify this going into the new season, we have to do this very, very quick. Now, I know people like Younes have said things like, oh, we got to make the defence work. We've got to make sure that all the attackers don't have all the job, all the work. We've got to make sure we work the defence as well. And that's totally fine. If that's what you think, that's totally fine. But obviously, you've got to perform well, right? I didn't really think we were very solid in defence. I thought we were very shaky. David Luiz, on the other hand, I thought he was okay at reading the line. There were times where Salzburg put the ball forwards and David Luiz was sort of like letting the guy run past him and making him go offside, which I thought was good. I thought he did that really, really well. I mean, that comes from experience, right? But then we had people like Zuma, and I think Fikayo Tomori came on a little bit later. Just inexperience. Very, very common mistakes being made at the back, and, you know, especially in a Premier League season, you really cannot be making those mistakes. It's absolutely criminal, especially at a club like Chelsea. You really can't be making those silly mistakes. But, you know, you got Lampard there to try and, you know, understand these mistakes. It's good that we're making these mistakes now because it's good to try and rectify them before the start of the season. But, however, this was a game that I really expected us to go out and show that we've actually been making some progress on those defensive errors. I don't think we showed any signs of improvement. I mean, you know, that's why we conceded 3 goals today. Zonal marking is still a problem. I mean, for their first goal, you know, from the free, I think it was from a free kick. Because I didn't actually see Salzburg's first goal because I was outside. But then I came back and realised that it was 3-1 instead of 3-0. But from what people were saying on Twitter, it was from a set piece. And, you know, zonal marking is absolutely atrocious, and I'm not surprised at that. The second goal was a penalty that they scored, and that was due to commitment. And I'm going to earmark one player, Zappacosta. Zappacosta is just not good enough at the moment. He should not be starting. Like I said in the last video, I'm just not a fan of him. I'm really not. You know, he just makes silly decisions. And this is what I was going back on what I was saying about commitment, knowing that you're fully confident that you're going to go in for a tackle and win the ball properly. Zappacosta just did none of that. He just brought the guy down and he conceded a penalty. And, well, they scored from it to make it 4-2. But Salzburg's third goal was a complete defensive mix-up. The guy just ran towards goal. It was just a complete mix-up. Trying to get the ball away, but I think the ball came off of Kepa's shoulder, and then the striker sort of pushed the ball forward past Kepa, and it goes straight into the net. Which I don't know if that's just bad luck or just the fact that our defending is just really is lacking. And I think it doesn't really matter how you look at it. What matters is the fact is that Chelsea's defending is poor, and that needs to be sorted out before the start of the season. Can I be too worried about our defence? Well, absolutely, because, look, we are not Arsenal. Okay, Arsenal have defensive problems. For Arsenal, they have Mustafi and Socrates and Monreal and players like that who are poor. Let's be honest. Like, Arsenal's defense, if you're an Arsenal fan, you'll know that Arsenal's defense are poor. We're not that. We are not that. We have the team to rectify these problems, and that's what we've got to do. We have to do that because it's okay. I'm sorry if there's a fly flying around, by the way. There's no way I can get rid of it at the moment. It's okay to have a good attack. It's good to have a group of people that are going to be able to create. They're going to be able to work off players and get goals. But if you've got a leaky defence, like leaking goals left, right and centre, that's going to give you problems all season. And if you're not going to sort that out, well, you know, it's going to... Well, not only is it going to put pressure on the players, it's going to put pressure on the manager because that's what he's got to do. He's got to realise that that's a problem and he's got to go away in training and sort it out. You know what I mean? Like, our defending is just really frustrating. I mean, you look at players like, I don't know, Kurt Zuma, Fikayo Tomori. I mean, they're young players. I guess the only way you can sort of like learn is just by playing games. Christensen is still a young boy. He's still learning. But then you got David Luiz, who's like, what, 32 years of age now? Experienced, but again, as we've seen in previous games last season, he's prone to the odd mistake. So, yeah, I think we really need to get Rudiger back. We need to get Reece James back because these guys have got the physicality to be able to seize the initiative. And we can't be relying on players like Zabacosta, like Tomori, like all these guys that, yes, they're very young. Yes, they're hungry to learn. But if we're going to have to rely on these guys throughout the entirety of the season and they're leaking goals like that, that's going to be a bit of a problem. But I'm hoping that Lampard's got the experience. Well, okay, yes, he doesn't have that much experience in management, but he does have experience in understanding, you know, the way teams work, the way teams need to be worked. And the only way I guess you could go through that is through experience. So there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to learn about. We're going to go into this next game on Saturday against Mönchengladbach. We'll see exactly what Chelsea plan to do in training and see if they've learned anything from their defensive errors today. If we can see that we are conceding less goals in the game against Gladbach, we'll know that, you know, there is some kind of improvement being made. Like I said, guys, it's okay to have a good attack and they know exactly what they're doing. They like to be creative and passing the ball around and getting goals. But if your back line is leaky as hell and you're not getting anything done in terms of that, you're not reading the situation for what the other team is trying to do, then that's a big problem. So, to summarise this, Kovacic, Barkley, Pulisic, Pedro, and Batshuayi, when he came on a little bit later on, I thought were just excellent today. Just Barkley with his magnificent long balls, Pulisic with 2 goals, just overall fantastic performance. Defending needs to be worked on. Whether it's zonal marking, whether it's space prevention, whether it's committing yourself to a tackle, this has to be perfected. This cannot continue anymore. We've had a lot of time to sort this out, right? I'm expecting better things in the game against Gladbach and expecting even better things in the games against Man United and beyond that. So let's just see how we fare in those next few games. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the description down below about that game against Salzburg. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Until the next video, I shall see you later. Hedo and peace.